Right. I hope you guys can hear me. Can you please pass me a message whether you guys can hear me and see me properly? Am I audible to you? Can you hear me? I request to turn off your mics. If you don't have any questions to ask, make sure to turn off your mics. Otherwise, it will be a disturbance for the ones who join the class. So today we are going to start a new paper as I mentioned last week. Today we are going to discuss a new paper and I have sent you the paper as well, the PDF version. You can go through the paper and get an idea. So in this paper, we are going to discuss questions related to your second term examination. And obviously, when you take literature as a subject, you have to remember we are actually counting grade 10 syllabus and grade 11 syllabus both. So if you are doing literature for grade 11, you should be able to cover up all the grade 10 lessons as well, because when it comes to the question paper, even though your term test paper, definitely questions will be there based on grade 10 syllabus as well. You can't argue with the teacher that we have done grade 10 last year, you have asked questions even this year. You can't argue like that, because basically questions can be constructed. No one can argue about that, because when it comes to your syllabus, it contains grade 10 work and grade 11 work. So definitely you have to cover grade 10 work as well. So in this paper class, I am going to highlight certain grade 11 work as well as grade 10 work as well. So it will be a great opportunity for you to understand what are the lessons that you have completed in grade 10 and you can revise those lessons. At the same time, you can get an idea about grade 11 lessons and what kind of questions will be there when it comes to your ordinary level examination, and what kind of writing style, what kind of weaknesses that you have, and what kind of writing style that you have to follow. So today we are going to start with context questions, and then after that we are moving to a couple of essay type questions. While discussing about the context questions, I will give you a small summary about that particular poem as well. So poem or short story or drama, make sure to write down your notes. Now you don't have to have the paper is there. Even if you don't have the paper, you can have a short note. Now, if you are going to discuss about To the Nile by John Keats, you can have a short note about that particular poem, the basic aspects of that poem, and what are the basic things that you have to remember, right? So, as a literature student, we are expecting from you, you have to know the background of the poem, background of the poet, and the genre of the poem, whether it is Elizabethan or Romantic or Jacobean or post-colonial. Likewise, you have to understand the background of that particular poet and the poem as well. And after that, you have to possess some kind of knowledge, basic themes of that particular poem. And when it comes to a drama or else a short story, same things are actually accepted from you, right? So you have to be very familiar. First and foremost, you have to be familiar with the syllabus, right? If you are not familiar with the syllabus, if you don't know the names of the poets and poems, right, then there is a huge problem, right? You are not ready for the exam. So make sure to be familiar with the syllabus first and foremost. When you are familiar with the syllabus, you know what to write and how to write. So you cannot actually mention that, sir, in our school, our teacher did not cover the syllabus. In our school, we did not have a teacher. They are not excuses, right? They are not excuses for the exam, because at the end of the day, you will be given a paper, right? When it comes to that paper, you cannot answer that our teacher did not come, our teacher did not teach us. You can't write like that, right? So you should be able to get ready, right? So make sure to be very much familiar with the syllabus, with the poems, with the short stories, at least the names of the poems and poets. Then you know what kind of questions are there and what kind of answers that you have to give. So I'm expecting some answers from you. Let's see whether you can answer the questions, right? Okay. So read this extract very carefully. Try to understand this particular extract. I hope you guys can see the screen. Read it very carefully. My mother thinks us long away. 'Tis time the field were mown. She had two sons at rising day. Tonight she will be alone. How many of you can remember the poem? Now this is actually be familiar with the poem, right? You have to be familiar. Now, when I read these lines, you should be familiar about this poem. You should know about this poem, right? Which means that the student should be engaged in this particular poem. This is one of the great 10 poems that you had already completed. How many of you can remember this poem? What is the poem? How many of you can remember? Huh? Can you remember the poem? My mother thinks us long away. This time the fields were mown. She had two sons at rising day. Tonight she will be alone. Yes. How many of you can tell me what is the poem? Can you remember the poem? Send me a message if you can. Can you remember the poem? What is the poem? How many of you can remember the poem? What is the poem? Yes, good. Yes, most of you can remember the poem. Yes, exactly. Farewell to the barn and stack and tree. This is the third poem in your syllabus, right? Grade 10 syllabus. You have to remember this poem, right? Farewell to the barn and stack and tree by Alfred Edward Houseman. Who is the poet? Alfred Edward Houseman. So you have to be familiar. You don't have to know the poem entirely, right? You don't have to be familiar with the poem entirely, all the themes and everything, but at least you have to know the poem, right? Without knowing the poem, you can't write answers. So be familiar with the syllabus. Once you see an extract, you should be able to understand the poem. You should be able to identify the poem. If you can't identify the poem, that means you have not read the syllabus. You don't know your syllabus. So without knowing the syllabus, it is impossible to write answers. You should know your syllabus, right? Now you are in grade 11. So whatever the poem that I asked from grade 10, you should be able to answer. You can't say that, no, sir, we did that last year. No, you can't tell like that. Definitely grade 10 work will be there for your grade 11 paper. You can't argue with your teacher, right? Last year, this year, no, syllabus is covered. So you should be ready to answer, right? So your answer is correct, right? So the first question, as you know, when it comes to the paper, when it comes to the context questions, definitely your first question will be about the identification. When it comes to O-level examination, first and foremost, you have to identify the poem and the poet. That is a must. Now I am happy most of you have identified. You have sent me your answers. I am happy about that. You have identified, right? That is something really good. Most of the students, they can't even identify the poem, right? That is something very important. After the identification, then you have the next questions. In order to answer other questions, you have to have some kind of an idea about that particular poem, right? So in this particular paper, this is a government paper actually. Now they are asking the question, whose words are these? Now whose words are these? Who has explained these ideas? Can you give me the answer? Whose words are these according to your opinion? Who is narrating this particular problem? Who is explaining like this? How many of you can answer? Anybody? You can send me a message. Now whose idea is actually mentioned here, right? Whose idea is mentioned here? So someone is telling Terence. Any other ideas? Now can you understand? Now this is the way that you have to revise your memory. You can't understand, you can't remember, right? Okay, right? The brother of Maurice, the poet, Terence's brother. Yes, okay, right, good. Now you have to understand, now there are several questions. We will discuss what is the answer. Now I will give you a small summary about this poem. Now basically, this is the third poem in your syllabus, right? Farewell to the barn and stack and tree can be taken as the third poem in your syllabus, right? So this poem is known to be this is the third poem that we are going to study, right? So this is from grade 10, but it seems that you can't remember this, right? This is the third poem in your syllabus, right? This can be identified as the third poem. So here, basically what you have to realize is that this is known to be a confession. This entire poem is known to be a confession, right? This entire poem is known to be a confession where the one brother has killed his own brother, and that particular brother is giving a confession. Try to understand my explanation very carefully, yeah? Right? So they have given us one brother's name, right? The brother's name is Maurice. He is the one who died. He is the one who died, right? Maurice is the one who died. Try to understand this, right? This particular brother, he died. He died from this particular fight, right? Maurice. Now the confession is given by brother of Maurice. right? Confession is actually given by brother of Maurice. Try to understand the explanation very carefully, right? This confession is done by brother of Maurice, right? Brother of Maurice, right? So now who is Terence then? Brother of Maurice. Now you have given me the answer as Terence. Some of you have given the answer as Terence, right? So who is Terence? Terence is the best friend, right? Terence can be identified as the best friend of Terence can be identified as the best friend of the murderer, right? Brother of Maurice can be also identified as the murderer, right? He can be also identified as the murderer, right? Or else the criminal, right? He is the criminal, right? He is the one who killed. Who he has killed? He has killed Maurice, his own brother, right? So killing your own family members in English, they are known to be fratricide. This is known to be a fratricide. What do you mean by fratricide? Fratricide means you are killing your family members. Fratricide, you are killing your family members. It is known to be fratricide. Now here what happens, try to understand the story. Maurice is known to be the brother who died. Maurice is killed by his own brother. He is known to be the narrator of this poem. You can say murderer. He is the criminal. You can't say poet because even though poet is writing this poem, he is writing this in a different perspective. So don't write poet. Obviously, the entire poem is told to us by the poet. There is no doubt about that. Don't write like that for any kind of question like that, you can write poet, right? Obviously, poet is the one who is writing the poem, right? Not like that. Look into the perspective. Pay your attention to the perspective. Now, basically, this is said by Maurice's brother, the brother of Maurice, right? Or else you can say the person who killed Maurice. Or else you can say the narrator of the story, the criminal, right? The narrator, right? The narrator is telling the story to his best friend called Terence. That is why it becomes a confession. No one is going to understand him. He has killed his own brother, right? He has killed his own brother because of sudden provocation. He never wanted to kill him, but accidentally now it has happened. Now there is no turning back. So he tells about his pathetic story to his best friend, Terence. He explains everything to Terence. Terence, Terence is the one who is going to listen to everything, and we are also going to listen to the story from the perspective of Terence. He tells everything to Terence, right? He tells everything to Terence because he thinks that at least Terence will understand him. Other people will never understand him, right? Because Terence is one of his best friends. So he is under the impression that, okay, sometimes like other people can't understand my mentality. At least Terence can understand my mentality, so I am going to tell the story to him. But there is no turning back now. He has become a murderer. There is no turning back. So this is what I want to tell you now. When I am going through the answers, I can realize you don't have that idea in your mind. You don't have a complete idea about the poem, right? So you will get this kind of a question, right? Even though you have studied for 2 years, one single question can ruin your entire paper. One single question can ruin your entire paper, right? So you should be very careful. This is why I have explained this. So make sure to understand this poem is known to be a confession. The murderer or else the narrator is confessing about the action that he had done. He is repenting about his action. He is very upset, but the problem is there is no turning back. The confession is made to his best friend called Terence. He explains everything to Terence because he thinks that at least his best friend Terence will understand the situation. Nobody will understand the situation. Even his mother won't understand. Nobody will forgive him. Right? So he is repenting himself. That is why he says farewell to barn and stack and tree and almost all the other agricultural equipments. Can you understand? So remember the setting, agricultural setting, pastoral setting, right? So here we can understand this is actually done by the narrator. You can say narrator, not the poet. That is wrong. You can say the narrator of the story. Or else it is much more better if you can write brother of Maurice. You can directly say brother of Maurice, right? Brother of Maurice. You can't say Maurice because Maurice, he had already killed, right? He died, right? Brother of Maurice, or you can simply say he is the murderer. The story is narrated by the murderer. He is a murderer. He is not a farmer. He is not a farmer anymore. He used to be a good farmer. That is where we can see the repentance. He used to be a good farmer. He openly says us, I used to have sweat on my hand. I used to have sweat on my palms because I really worked hard, right? But now what has happened? My hands are full of blood. That clearly shows us how he has transformed from a farmer to murderer. Can you understand how he has transformed from a farmer to murderer? You can very easily understand my explanation. So when you go through an extract, don't be panic. Read it several times and try to understand what is the idea given, right? She had 2 sons at rising day. Tonight she will be alone. So it is a very powerful expression. So he says, this is about the criminal's mother, the murderer's mother. He mentions about his mother. He says, when the day started, we two actually came out of the house in order to work together. But now when the day is going to be an end, no one is going back. Because I have killed my brother, even I can't go to my house. Because my mother will never accept. So tonight she will be alone forever. My mother will be alone forever. Why? I have killed my brother. Now I don't have also any freedom. I have to run away from this particular village. So that is what he has simply explained, right? So I think you can understand, right? So these are the basic key areas that you have to pay your attention. The entire poem discusses about the terrible incident, right? Terrible incident. This is the terrible incident, right? Don't think that this is Terence's brother. Terence is a third party. Terence is only listening to his story. He does not have any connection with anyone. He does not have any connection. He is a friend. Try to understand. You have misunderstood the poem, right? The narrator is explaining the situation to Terence, right? No one is going to listen to him. Even the audience also behave like Terence. Even we are behaving like Terence, right? We listen to his story. He is giving us a confession. This is what I have done. Please forgive me. I know you can't forgive me, but I don't know what to say. This is what I have to say. I have to give you a message. Don't take decisions when you are panicked. That is the message actually he gives to us, right? Don't take decisions when you are panicked, when you are excited, right? So I have taken a sudden decision. As a result of that, my brother died. Now there is no turning back. My entire life will be a chaos. My entire life will be a chaos. There is no turning back, right? From today onwards, they will call me as a murderer. That's it. I used to be a great farmer. But today onwards, they will call me as a murderer. Remember the word, fratricide. Fratricide. What do you mean by fratricide? You are killing your family members. If you kill your mother, if you kill your father, if you kill your brother, if you kill your sister, grandmother, grandfather, it is known to be a fratricide, not suicide. Suicide means you are killing yourself. This particular poem deals with the idea of fratricide. That is a great offense. You will never be able to escape from that. You will be able to escape from police, but from your heart, you will never be able to escape. Fratricide. So, however, now it has been done. There is no turning back now. He is repenting. The entire poem is about repentance. Farewell, 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 goodbye. Entire poem discusses about repentance. He does not like to farewell, but he does not have an alternative as well. He does not like to, but he doesn't have any alternative as well. These are the key areas that you have to pay your attention as a literature student. Now this clearly shows that you are not familiar with the poems of grade 10. Even though you have studied them, you can't remember them. So get ready with them. I am going to teach you grade 11 work as well. What is suggested by the last 2 lines? The last 2 lines clearly explain about his repentance in simple words. Repentance, right? He is repenting. He is very upset about the actions. Isolation. In simple words, you can say isolation, right? Last 2 words clearly show us isolation, right? So these are the key areas that you have to remember, right? So we will move on to the answer, right? This extract is taken from the poem Farewell to Barn and Stack and Tree by Alfred Edward Houseman. the words of the narrator, murderer, or the brother who has killed his brother. You can say like that. The brother who has killed his brother, right? You can say Maurice's brother. Yes, one brother has killed the other one. We don't know, elder brother or younger brother. We don't know, right? We can say that he is the brother. Don't tell Terence. Don't misunderstand. Terence is the third party. He is listening to the story. He doesn't know anything. He is the best friend, so he is listening to him, right? He is making a confession and he is listening to him, right? Okay. His mother used to have two sons when the day started, but when the day ends, she will lose both her sons. That is what it is explained, right? When the day started, right, she had two sons, which means that when the day started, the brothers, they did not have any problem. This problem actually started when they were working on the field. Now, no one is going to return to the house. No one is going to return. Why? One brother has killed the other one, and the murderer cannot return alone. Do you think that this mother will ever forgive him? No. This mother will not forgive him, right? Nobody will forgive him. He can say that, I am sorry, I have done a mistake, but you have killed another man. That is one of the greatest offenses that you can do, one of the toughest offenses that you can do. So how can we forgive you? That cannot be done, right? There is no turning back. So that is why he says, I have killed one brother and I am the other one, I am the other son, I am not going to come back. So my mother will be alone forever. Isolation, regret. Regret. His regret, his isolation is quite clearly mentioned here. What are the emotional impact? Yes, as you mentioned, the emotional impact, regret, repentance, and suffocation of the narrator about the actions that he has committed. Right? His regret, his suffocation about the actions that he has committed. He knows that there is no turning back. Right? He is upset. This poem is known to be an elegy. What do you mean by elegy? Elegy means a sad poem. Right? This poem is known to be an elegy. Right? This poem is known to be an elegy. What do you mean by elegy? Elegy means a sad poem. Right? This poem is known to be an elegy. Right? Elegy, sad poem, right? The ending of the poem is very sad. Right? We have different genres, like we have sonnets, we have octave, sestave, we have sonnets, and we have free verse, and we have elegy. Right? Elegy means a poem with a sad tone. Right? And this poem can be taken as a poem where you can see a lot of agricultural environment. Agricultural environment can be seen. Right? Agricultural environment. Right? So that type of poems are also known to be ballads. This can be also identified as a ballad. Right? What do you mean by ballad? Poems which are sung in agricultural background. Ballads. Ballads, right? So this can be also taken as a ballad. So that kind of knowledge should be there in your mind. Have a revision. Have a revision in your mind and remember the things that I have given here, right? Try to remember these things. They are very much important. Okay, we are moving to the next one. Okay, I think this is from grade 11. Check whether you can remember this poem. Read very carefully. Read very carefully and try to understand what is the poem. So I have told you, you have grade 11 and grade 10, both are there, right? Both poems are there. When it comes to your term test paper also, the teacher can include. Teacher can include. You can't say anything about that. You can't say, no, we did not do, no. You can't tell like that. Definitely questions will be there. So you should be familiar with. Right? You should be familiar with both. That knowledge should be there in you. That is expected from you. Right? Father and Son by Cat Stevens. Yes, it is a very popular poem. Yes, Father and Son. Yes, very popular poem. It is not to make a change, just sit down, take it slowly. This is said by Father. This is a very popular poem. It is known to be a popular song as well. This is written by Cat Stevens. He is known to be a Muslim His name is Yusuf Islam. No, he became a Muslim. He transformed himself. Today he is known to be Yusuf Islam. When he was writing this particular poem, he was known to be Cat Stevens. Now he has converted his religion. Now he is following Islam. So today he is not writing any poems or not doing anything related to literature. Today he is known to be a very religious person. He is following his religion called Islam. Today he is known to be Yusuf Islam. Right? So basically in this particular poem, this is known to be a song as well. I don't know whether you have watched the movie called Guardians of the Galaxy. The second part, they feature this song, right? Guardians of the Galaxy movie also, you can find this song. So when you refer to this particular poem, basically we discuss about the generation gap, right? The main theme, whatever the theme that dealing with this particular poem is, nothing but generation gap, right? Which is known to be one of the most famous themes when it comes to the field of literature. We discuss about generation gap, the gap between adults and children, which is known to be generation gap. So you have identified the poem, that is correct, and this particular poem is written, it is actually can be taken as a modern ballad, right? It is known to be a modern ballad, or else in simple terms you can say it is a song, right? In simple terms, you can actually identify this as a song, right? So basically, it is not time to make a change, just sit down, take it slowly. So what we can realize here, my dear students, right? Father does not understand the mindset of the child. Father does not understand the whims and fancies of the child, of the son. Without understanding the son properly, father tries to give certain advices to him which are very much generalized. This father does not understand his particular son is different from other children. This father never understands that. He just says, right, okay, don't take it serious, right, take it slowly, you are too much panicked. They are general comments. They are general comments which will be given by any parent. General comments. But this particular boy, he has different set of problems. Try to understand my explanation. He has different set of problems. His problems are not the same, right? If you can remember, father says, if you love a girl, go and make sure to marry her. Settle down and marry her. He doesn't have that kind of problem. He doesn't have a problem related to girls. His main problem is no one is ready to listen to him. That is the main problem. Whenever he wants to speak about himself, about his future ambitions, about his targets, about his achievements, father says, shut up and sit down. So this is the biggest problem that Gen Z faces when it comes to modern day society. No one is there to listen to him. No one is there to listen to them. So this particular problem is highlighted in this poem, right? To whom are these words spoken? Father is speaking to these words to the son. What made him speak these words? Comment on the speaker's attitude towards the listener, right? Okay, we will go to the answers and try to understand, right? So these are the answers that we have made from the poem Father and Son by Cat Stevens. The father is speaking to his son. He wants his son to stay calm and not rush into adult decisions, right? General idea. Father says, no, you should not be panicked, right? You should be calm and quiet. You should be collective, right? You should not take such decisions, right? So people make foolish decisions when they are young, right? You should not be like that. You should be a different person. This is not the way that you should behave. But the problem is, this particular son is different from other children. He has got different set of problems. But father thinks that this particular boy has same problems which he had when he was a boy. Can you understand? This particular father thinks this particular son has same problems which he had when father was a boy. This is where we can find generation gap. This particular son is not facing the same problems which the father faced when he was a boy. Can you understand? This is a new generation. Your generation is a new generation. You learn things in a different manner. You experience things in a different manner. Not like us. So your generation is totally different. And furthermore, the speaker is caring, understanding, and patient, offering guidance. That is true. This father is offering good guidelines. I am not going to argue about that. But the problem is, he is guiding his son in a very average manner. In a very average manner, he generalizes everything. No specific ideas are given. As a parent, first and foremost, you have to understand your children and your childhood are not the same. Not the same. Your children and your childhood are not the same. Now you are in grade 11. I was also there in grade 11. But my childhood in grade 11 is totally different from your childhood. So I cannot give experience to you, I cannot give advices to you because your experiences and your environment is totally different from mine. I did not have Facebook, I did not have WhatsApp, I did not go to online classes. So I can't even imagine about the life that you are having now. Can you understand? But this father does not understand that. He tries to give same advices because he thinks that okay, my son is also having the same problems which I had when I was a young boy. This is the problem we all have. That is why your parents are continuously blaming you. We did not have WhatsApp, we did not have Facebook, we did not have internet, we used to study using a lamp. They always tell that, right? The problem is your setting is totally different from theirs. They won't understand that. This is the issue highlighted here. So try to understand. Very beautiful poem, very simple poem. Anybody can understand. You don't have to go to classes to highlight this poem. Very simple poem because you face these incidents in your day-to-day life. Generation gap. Parents will never understand. Very limited number of parents are there who can understand the behavioral patterns of these kids. Very limited number of parents, but most of them, they can't understand the lifestyle of these kids. You are Gen Zs, so your behavioral pattern is totally different, right? We can't actually compare how we used to learn, how we used to enjoy, how we used to experience ourselves with you. We cannot do that. We are from two different environments. This father is going to compare that. But we will never be able to compare. The reason is we are from two different environments. Right? Okay, let's go to the next question. Sing me one last song, he whispered. I shall feel very lonely when you are gone. Popular one. Can you recognize? Very popular one. Anybody? What is this? Sing me one last song, he whispered. I shall feel very lonely when you are gone. What is this? This is not a poem, obviously. I am pretty sure you can recognize this one. Yes, very good. Thank you, Buddha. Yes. Malaravan. Thank you, Malaravan. Very good. What is this? Nightingale and the Rose by Oscar Wilde. Nightingale and the Rose. Right? Very popular short story. When we refer to the field of English literature, Nightingale and the Rose by Oscar Wilde. Right? Nightingale and the Rose by Oscar Wilde. Now, when we refer to Oscar Wilde, when you do literature as a subject, if you are referring to Oscar Wilde, there are certain key aspects that you have to remember. Number one, Oscar Wilde belongs to late Victorian literature. Late Victorian period. He is known to be a Victorian writer. He belongs to late Victorian period. Late Victorian period is very important to us because this is known to be the golden era of English literature. Victorian period is known to be the golden era of English literature. Right? Golden era of English literature. This is known to be the golden era of English literature. Number of masterpieces were composed during this period. Number of masterpieces were composed during this period. Right? In the field of English literature. Queen Victoria supported almost all the writers in order to write poems, short stories, in order to do dramas. Queen Victoria supported a hell of a lot. Right? So most of the writers, they received the patronage of the palace. the patronage of the Queen. So Queen Victoria ruled England at that time period. So that is why it is known to be Victorian period. Remember, these things are very important. Right? Nightingale and the rose. The nightingale came, the rose is there, the rose is thrown away, and the nightingale died. No, 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 no. You should remember the setting. Who is the writer? Oscar Wilde. What is the genre? What is the time period? Victorian literature. Victorian era. We discuss about late Victorian era. You don't know about that. You have to mention them when you are writing your essay type answers. Victorian literature, they are expecting that from you. The student should know what is the genre. Whether it is Sri Lankan literature, post-colonial literature, Victorian, Elizabethan, Jacobean. You should know. Right? So here we can find Victorian literature. Oscar Wilde represents Victorian society. He is not happy with the Victorian values. He is against Victorian values. That part also you have to remember. He is against, right, Victorian values. He never enjoyed, right, Victorian values. Oscar Wilde is against Victorian values. Right? Oscar Wilde is against Victorian values. Right? Not only in this particular short story, if you refer to most of the short stories written by Oscar Wilde, you can understand how Oscar Wilde is criticizing Victorian values. Victorian society, they did not pay attention to human values. Sympathy, empathy, love and affection, kindness, unconditional love, romance. They did not pay any attention. They only paid attention to money. Victorian society is known to be a society where people ran behind money. That's it. No human values, no social values. That is why at the end of the day, the nightingale dies, but no one pays any attention. Nightingale is sacrificing itself in order to provide a beautiful red rose for the betterment of the boy. The nightingale is sacrificing in order to sacrifice. There should be a reason. The reason is, okay, I am going to provide the red rose, then this particular boy can go and win his love. But later only the readers realize the nightingale's sacrifice is washed away, thrown away. Neither the boy nor the girl pays any attention towards this beautiful red rose. So whatever the sacrifices that you do in Victorian society, you will not be recognized. Even if you sacrifice your life. What is the most valuable thing that we have? Apple iPhone, your laptop, your girlfriend. No, your life. The most valuable thing that you have is your life. Even if you sacrifice that in the Victorian society, you will not be recognized. Can you understand? That is the message given by Oscar Wilde. Write down. No matter whether you have sacrificed your life for the betterment of someone, you will not be recognized. Your sacrifice will not be taken into consideration. Try to understand literature, understand the background. Then you can learn a lot. Make sure to keep them in your mind. The setting, right? Okay, so the situation, yes. Name the work, yes. The work we can understand. Who utters these words and to whom? This is uttered by the nightingale. When the nightingale is about to die, this is said to the oak tree. If you can remember, the oak tree is telling this. He refers to the oak tree, right? So oak tree says, now you are going to suicide. You are going to die. But before you are going to die, please sing me a beautiful song. That is what it is expected, right? So this is actually said by the oak tree. Oak tree is requesting to sing a song, right? Because we all know that what is the talent of the nightingale? The talent of the nightingale is the nightingale can sing, right? The nightingale can sing. We should not forget what kind of effort that the nightingale made in order to find a red rose. Can you remember? The nightingale flew from one rose tree to the other in order to find a red rose. At the end of the day, nightingale realized that during this winter time period, no roses will be bloomed. Then only nightingale decided, okay, I am going to kill myself. I am going to suicide. Why? That is the only method that I can produce a red rose. It is a kind of a terrible decision. Very terrible decision. But Nightingale decides, okay, I am going to die. It's okay. When I compare my life with true love is more valuable than my life. That is what he says. That is what she says, the Nightingale. Can you remember? Read it, right? What is meant by the last line? I shall feel very lonely when you are gone. When you die, nobody will be there to sing a song for me. That is what it says. When you are gone means you are not going to Elampitiya. You are not going to Jaffna. When you are gone means when you die, nobody will be there in my life to share my experience. That is what he says. What effect does it create? What kind of effect is created here? So let's see. From the short story, The Nightingale and the Rose by Oscar Wilde. The oak tree says this to the nightingale. He expresses emotional dependence and sadness about parting. Emotional sadness, emotionally sad, not only the oak tree, right? Lot of other trees and lot of other animals, they are very upset about the decision taken by the nightingale. Can you understand? But Oscar Wilde tries to highlight the fact that even you have sacrificed your life for the betterment of someone, when it comes to Victorian society, nobody will accept you. Your sacrifice is in vain. Do not do such sacrifices. In this society, no one will recognize that. You don't have any value for your life. No one is going to pay recognition for kindness, empathy, sympathy, love and affection. No one. People run behind money. That is why the professor's daughter appreciated all the pomegranates and jewelries given by the Chamberlain's nephew. Can you remember how she condemns the boy? You don't have even silver buckles on your shoes. Can you remember the condemn? You don't have, who are you? That is the question. That is the question. Social status, who are you? Can you remember? Even in today's society, if you don't have money, if you don't have status, what is the question that they are going to raise? Who are you? But if you have money, if you have social acceptance, if you have social status, they will ask, how are you? How are you? Can you understand? There's a big difference between who are you and how are you. That is the reality of the society. That is the reality of the society. Who are you? How are you? Try to understand. Very important, right? Then he expresses emotional dependence and sadness about parting. It creates a tone of melancholy and sets up the theme of sacrifice. Yes, there are a couple of themes that we discuss when it comes to Nightingale and the Rose by Oscar Wilde. One of them is sacrifice. One of them is sacrifice, right? So the Nightingale is sacrificing its life for the betterment of true love, but it is in vain. So Oscar Wilde gives us the message, when it comes to Victorian society, no matter what kind of sacrifice that you do, you will not be recognized. On the other hand, we have theme of education. Even though the boy is known to be an intelligent person, right? Even though the boy is known to be an intelligent person, that particular education has not supported him in order to face his practical problems. So here we can understand a huge criticism against Victorian education system. The Victorian education system has not created an individual, balanced individual, in order to face practical social problems. Even though he has learned about metaphysics and different types of other philosophical books, none of these books have helped him in order to understand the problems related to his life. So Oscar Wilde says there is no point of having that kind of education. Education should make a balanced individual. But Victorian education was not able to do that. So huge criticism can be seen when it comes to Victorian education system. On the other hand, we can find the theme of love. We have three perspectives of love. True love, represented by the Nightingale. Materialistic love, represented by the professor's daughter. Then we have passionate love represented by the boy. So this is how questions will be created. Get ready. Themes are also highlighted. Okay. And finally, what kind of tone? Melancholy, sad, pathetic, emotional, melancholic tone, because the oak tree knows that the nightingale is going to die. Oak tree knows that. Oak tree is making a suggestion. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't engage in this kind of activity. This is something wrong. But the nightingale is not ready to listen to that. Right? Okay, let's go to the next one. This is an easy one. Try to understand. Can you remember this quotation? What is this? Can you remember? Anyone? Yes. Lumber room. Very good. Lumber room. Popular one. Yes, you are correct. Lumber room. This is known to be lumber room. Right? Lumber room by whom? Hector Hugh Munro. Hector Hugh Munro. Right? He is known to be Saki. That is the pen name. Saki. H.H. Munro. Hector Hugo Munro. Saki. He is known to be Saki. Right? So here, what are the basic ideas that you have to remember as a literature student? You don't have to study them actually. Remember them. Right? Literature cannot be studied. You have to understand literature. Right? Because literature means our life. We are talking about our life incidents, life experiences. Right? So in this particular short story, we discuss about a different theme. What is that? We discuss about the difference between children's world. We discuss about the difference between children's world, right, and the adult's world, right? We discuss about the difference between children's world and the adult's world. So H.H. Munro is highlighting us. He takes two characters here. He takes Nicholas and Nicholas's aunt. Nicholas is portrayed as a child who does not engage in any negative activity. That kind of children are very rare in literature. Here we can see pure labeling, right? Because Nicholas is known to be a 100% immaculate child. Immaculate. He does not do anything wrong at all. That kind of children we can't find. There we can see some kind of labeling by H.H. Munro. But however, that is how the character is built. That is how the character is built. So H.H. Munro's main intention is to highlight the audience that you should be very careful when you are dealing with children. Because some children are smarter than adults. You have to accept it. Rather than neglecting it as an adult, you have to accept their talents and you have to help them in order to develop them. Rather than showing your jealousy towards them. Rather than showing your anger towards them. Right? So aunt is furious when it comes to Nicholas's actions. But according to H.H. Munro, he tries to explain the fact that that is not the way to behave. That is not the way to behave with children, right? You should be calm, quiet and collaborative, collective with children. Otherwise, you will never be able to deal with children. Because children are smart. You guys are smarter than me. You know new technology, you know about ChatGPT, you know how it works. I don't know. I am not from your generation. So when I deal with you, I should be very careful. If I do not become careful, then there is a problem. Right? So we discuss about the difference between children's and adults' world, right? So H.H. Munro highlights the message, if you are an adult, be very careful because your punitive methods, punitive actions won't work. They won't work. So you should be very careful. That is the message given. Name the work and the writer. Whose words are these? Don't talk nonsense, said the prisoner in the tank. Who is the prisoner? Prisoner is known to be Nicholas's aunt. So Nicholas's aunt She came to find Nicholas towards the lumber room, and suddenly she fell into the rainwater tank. Even though there was no water, it was slippery, so she could not come out. That is what it is highlighted here. Whose words are these? Who is the prisoner mentioned? The prisoner is known to be Nicholas's aunt. What is suggested by the phrase? What kind of idea is suggested here? Okay, let's check the answers. These are the answers that we have given. Yes, this is taken from the prose passage, The Lumber Room by H.H. Munro, or else you can use the word Saki, his pen name. Nicholas's aunt's words are highlighted here. The aunt is metaphorically referred to as a prisoner. Metaphorically. What is the difference between metaphor and a simile? Metaphor is a direct comparison. Simile is known to be an indirect comparison. Now, if you say, my sister's face is a flower, direct comparison, metaphor. My sister's face is like a flower, indirect comparison. Can you understand? Direct comparison, indirect comparison. So here we can understand, we have a direct comparison, right? Set the prisoner in the tank. So aunt is directly compared to a prisoner, metaphorically compared. That is why I have used that, metaphorically compared. Okay? Right. Nicholas's aunt's words are highlighted. The aunt is metaphorically referred to as a prisoner. It humorously implies that aunt's pathetic state with sarcasm. Yes, a lot of sarcasm can be seen. Sarcasm, laughter, a lot of laughter can be seen here because H.H. Munro is always trying to humiliate the behavior of, right, behavior of adults. H.H. Munro is continuously trying to humiliate the behavior of adults. That is what we can understand, right? The behavior of adults are quite clearly mentioned here in a quite sarcastic manner. Sarcastic, right? Sarcastic means you are laughing to the weaknesses of a person. There is a big difference between sarcasm and humor. Try to understand these two words. Now, humor means it is laughter, right? It is laughter. But when you take sarcasm, sarcasm means you are laughing for someone's weaknesses. So sarcasm is little bit darker than humor. So here we can find sarcasm, right? So H.H. Munro is highlighting the weaknesses of the adults. Right. Check whether you can remember this one. What is this? Anyone? How many of you can remember this? Please pass me a message. Right, okay, I'm pretty sure you can remember this one, right? I don't think this will be a difficult one for you. What is it? I know you can remember. Right. Yes, very good. Most of you have answered. Yes. Twilight of a Crane, Ruan, very good. Minudha, very good. Puta, Yenuli, very good. Yes, you are correct. Twilight of a Crane. Basically, we have two dramas in our syllabus, right? You can remember. What are the two dramas that we have? The Bear by Anton Chekhov, and then we have Twilight of a Crane by Junji Kinoshita. Now, when you refer to these two dramas, you can realize the drama Twilight of a Crane highlights about a tragedy. What do you mean by a tragedy? Tragedy refers to a sad ending. In this drama, we discuss about a sad ending, right? So what happens in the drama? Zhu and Yohio, they are known to be a perfect couple, but because of greediness for money, right? In literature, we call that avarice. Greediness for money. Greediness for money. In literature, we call that avarice, right? Greediness for money, extreme greediness for money, right? You can say extreme greediness for money, avarice, right? So because of avarice, extreme greediness for money, what happens here, my dear students? Yohio wants to earn thousands and thousands of dollars by selling that beautiful rare cloth called Senba Ori. So Sodo and Nunzu, they germinate this man's mind, and this particular lovable, trustworthy, understanding husband becomes a monster. This particular man becomes a monster. Can you understand what happens? And then their relationship is broken, and Zoo departs from Yohio's life. That is the tragedy. So let's pay attention to the quotation. You should be a man of the world I belong. Where is this extract taken from? Whose work is it? Whose words are these? What made the speaker express this line? What is suggested by the extract? Let's pay our attention to the answers. Obviously, your answer is correct. Twilight of a Crane by Junji Kinoshita, you are correct. These are spoken by Zu to Yohio. Unsu and Sodo try to lure Yohio away from her idealistic world. That is correct. So she understands that, okay, these two people are trying to take this particular man away from me. She is living in an idealistic world. If you can remember, she used to play with him and she used to make all the food items, right? And actually she takes the financial burden as well. Yohio is known to be a poor farmer. Can you understand? He is known to be a poor farmer, right? With the arrival of Zoo only, he becomes a man. He becomes a talented person. He becomes a person with some kind of personality, right? So you can understand who provides the support. The support is given by Zoo. Don't forget that, right? This is what we have to pay our attention. These are spoken by Zoo to Yohio. Unzu and Sodo try to lure Yohio away from her idealistic world. It highlights the conflict between materialism and idealism. Yes, this is the main theme that we discuss. The materialism refers to you are running behind money. You only need money. On the other hand, idealism refers to you do not think money can solve all the problems. More than money, you think family relationships are important. They are valuable more than money. That is your mindset. So two different mindsets can be seen here, right? But unfortunately, my dear students, what happens here, the basic idea is, okay, Yohio misunderstands Zoo and Yohio actually forgets, right, this particular lady. And at the end of the day, he is going to lose this lady. That is what is going to happen. He is going to lose this lady. In simple terms, that is the idea we can understand. Right, I hope that you guys have completed. Is there anyone who is still writing? Right. Okay, so this is how you are going to write answers for the context questions. Now you can understand what kind of idea you have to have. It is not enough to know the name of the poem or the short story or else the drama. You need more knowledge than that. Definitely you need no knowledge than that, right? Okay. After the context questions, we are moving into essay type questions. Basically, we are going to select our first question. Keats, in his poem, presents the duality of nature. Discuss this with the close reference to the poem To the Nile. So, our first question will be from the poem To the Nile by John Keats. But before going to that poem, you have to remember certain things regarding the poem. Number one, you have to remember To the Nile by John Keats can be taken as a To the Nile by John Keats can be taken as a sonnet. This particular poem is known to be a sonnet. So basically in a sonnet, how many lines we have? We have different types of sonnets basically. The basic two sonnets are Petrarchian sonnets and Shakespearean sonnets. In both sonnet forms, we have 14 lines. So basically the sonnet can be divided into two parts. We have the octave. Octave refers to first 8 lines of the poem, right? And then we have the sestet. Sestet refers to the next 6 lines of the poem. The line which is going to divide octave and sestet, which is known to be the volta line. So here we have Petrarchan sonnet, not a Shakespearean sonnet. So this particular sonnet belongs to the category of Petrarchian sonnet. Francisco Petrarch is the one who introduced the sonnet form, right? So this is a Petrarchian sonnet. In a Petrarchian sonnet, what is the rhyming scheme we have? We have ABBA, and again we have ABBA, right? CD, CD, CD. This is the rhyming pattern of Petrarchian sonnets, right? ABBA, ABBA, CD, CD, CD. Now, if you refer to Shakespearean sonnets, we also have 14 lines, right? If you refer to Shakespearean sonnets, basically we have the same, but we have a different rhyming scheme where we can find ABAB, CD, CD, EF, EF, GG, rhyming couplets. So the only difference between Shakespearean sonnets and Petrarchian sonnets, the only difference that you can find is the rhyming scheme. Lines are same, 14 lines. They have octave and sestet. The only difference is in Francisco Petrarch's poems, sonnets, basically we have this rhyming scheme. So this is actually, To the Nile belongs to that category. In Shakespearean ones, we have a different rhyming scheme. Shakespeare comes with a different one. They are extra knowledge but important. You should know what is a sonnet. What are the two parts of the sonnet? Because when you refer to this poem, you know that John Keats tries to explain the beauty of the river Nile. And the river Nile is appreciated in two forms. Number one, the mythical, mystical beauty of the Nile river is given in the octave part. In the octave part, the mythical aspects of the Nile river is given, right? They are not true, they are not real. They are mythical and mystical aspects. But in the sestet part, you can understand original natural aspects of Nile river is presented. So in this poem, we can find two different aspects of the river Nile. In the octave part, mystical, hysterical, mythical values of the river Nile is highlighted, right? And here we have the sestet part, the original values related to river Nile is highlighted, right? So that's the difference, right? So you can write down this if you need. So this is the poem that we are going to learn, and it is also known to be an ode. Odes are known to be addressing poems. They are known to be addressing poems. This is known to be an ode. We have two odes in our syllabus. First one is To the Evening Star by William Blake, where William Blake is addressing to the evening star. The other one is, what is that? To the Nile by John Keats, where John Keats is addressing to the river Nile. So they are sonnets. You have to remember that. That knowledge should be there in your mind. That is expected from you. Right? How many of you are still writing? Please pass me a message. Right. Shall we move on? Did you write? Do you want to write? Right. Okay. So you don't have Shakespearean sonnets. Actually, you have Petrarchian sonnets only. Right. Okay. I hope that you guys have completed. We will move on from here. Right. So let's start to write the answer. What is the first aspect that we have to come across here? We will start with the explanation. Right. First and foremost, we are going to explain about the poet. This is the question that they have given to us. You can start writing. Right. Take your books and start to write. John Keats, one of the most renowned romantic poets of the 19th century, is well known for his deep appreciation of nature, beauty, and imagination. His poem To the Nile is a sonnet written in the form of an address to the river Nile, blending both classical reverence and rational critique. Right? So we are discussing about duality, right? The dual quality, double standards, right? The double standards of river Nile. That is what we are going to discuss. Double standards, right? Duality, right? To the Nile is a sonnet written in the form of an address to the river Nile, blending both classical reverence and rational critique. In this sonnet, Keats explores the duality of nature, portraying the river both as a majestic life giver. In what part he explains? The river is known to be a majestic life giver. The river provides support for people, majestic life giver. On the other hand, symbol of superstition and illusion. I told you, right? This is where you want to learn about that octave and sestate. Can you remember? This is the place that you have to remember that I told you octave and sestate. The majestic part is actually highlighted in the sestate. Right? Sestate means last 6 lines. The illusion part is highlighted in the octave, which means in the first 8 lines. This is the part that you have to remember. Right? Octave and sestate. These are the two parts that you have to be familiar with. Right? That is why I told you, you have to remember these two parts. Right? So here basically the duality of nature is quite clearly highlighted. Number one, majestic life giver, where the river Nile is actually supporting people and it is supporting all these vegetation to grow and it is providing water to a lot of people to survive and it makes all these lands very prosperous. Yeah, life giver, right? That is very common. All these things are in the sestate part. But in the octave part, we can find the illusion. River Nile is known to be the son of the all moon mountain. River Nile is regarded as the chief of the pyramid and crocodile. River Nile is known to be the nurse of the Swat nation since the world began. People used to venerate River Nile. People used to worship River Nile. Right? So they are actually illusions. Right? They are mythical, mystical ideas. Right? Some people may believe that, some people may not. This is what we have highlighted. This is what we have explained, right? Okay, hurry up and write down. Please pass me a message. Now itself complete. Don't wait for the recording. Then and there, finish it off, right? So all the other answers you can write at home, right? All these context questions, but essay type questions, when the teacher is explaining, then and there, write down because your writing ability is also important. That is also expected from you, right? Your writing ability is something that you have to work on, right? You have to write really fast. As you know, the literature paper, second paper, you have only 2 hours, right? Within 30 minutes, you have to complete one answer within 30 minutes, right? Poetry, 30 minutes, over. Short story, within 30 minutes, you have to finish. 1 hour is finished. Then you have drama and the novel. So you have only 30 minutes. You have to write really fast. At least you have to give 2 to 3 quotations, and at least you have to write at least 2.5 pages for one explanation, one appreciation. So if you are not writing fast, then there is a problem. That is also a talent that you have to possess, right? You have to improve yourselves, right? The talent should be there in you, writing talent. That is expected from you. How many of you are still writing? Please pass me a message. Did you finish this? Send me a message. Shall we move on to the next part? I have given you some time to write down. Then and there, finish it off. Don't wait for the recording, Buddha. It is waste of time actually watching the recording again and again. You will be able to get the record, but actually it is a waste of time. Don't do that, right? Complete your notes then and there, then it will be very easy for you to complete your work. Right, okay. Shall we move on? Right. So, simple explanation is given about John Keats as well. John Keats actually belongs to the second generation of Romantic poetry. Right. So, Romantic poetry can be divided into two generations. Basically, we have first generation starting with William Wordsworth, William Blake. Even William Blake belongs to first generation. After that, we have John Keats, Percy Bysshe Shelley. I think they belong to the second generation, right? So William Blake actually, sorry, John Keats actually died very young age. At the age of 23, he died from tuberculosis, right? He's known to be one of the greatest writers from Victorian era, right? Victorian era. He is also from Victorian era. So Romantic poetry erupted during the Victorian era, right? Most of the Romantic poets, they wrote about nature. Now, if you take William Blake, right, he discusses about the beauty of nature into the evening star. Here also, we highlight the beauty of nature. Keats, even Keats highlights the beauty of nature. Right, okay, I hope you guys have completed, right? So, we will move on. The term duality of nature in this context refers to how nature is represented by the Nile is seen both as powerful and nourishing, yet also shrouded in myth and mystery. Can you understand? Now, what do you mean by dual? Dual means there are two aspects. We are highlighting two different aspects. What are the two different aspects? Number one, the first aspect is Nile River is known to be a powerful, mythical, powerful, mystical thing. On the other hand, it is known to be a natural life giver as well. Both aspects are mentioned here. Keats does not simply praise the river, instead he questions the blind reverence shown towards it by ancient civilizations, right? So actually Keats highlights here why people are actually blindly venerating, right? People are blindly venerating River Nile. We don't know the reason, right? They show a lot of reverence towards River Nile, right? They are afraid of River Nile. And there are so many reasons for that. I told you, right? River Nile is known to be the son of the whole moon mountain African. River Nile is known to be the chief of the pyramid and crocodile. River Nile is known to be the uh, sort of the nations, right? Like nurse of the SWAT nation since the world began. So you can understand the situation related to River Nile, right? So both the now all these things are collectively highlighting the mythical, mystical features related to River Nile. Right. So you can understand here what do you mean by the duality, right? You can very easily understand the duality. The duality here highlights the two aspects of the River Nile that we are going to discuss, right? These two aspects are highlighted here in the extract, right? This is what we are going to discuss, right? How many of you are still writing? Please pass me a message. Right, okay. Right. Shall we move on from here? I hope you guys have completed. How many of you are still writing? Right. So we will discuss the quotations, right? Some quotations you have to add. Now I have explained you the quotations related to that. In the beginning of the poem, Keats refers to the Nile as a mighty river and acknowledges how it has been worshipped for ages, right? So you can understand that mythical features in the octave part, first 8 lines. This is how the poem starts. Son of the all moon mountains, African, chief of the pyramid and crocodile. So these two quotations are very familiar to you, right? These lines suggest us how ancient Egyptians and others viewed the Nile with deep religious awe, building civilizations and myths around it. The river is connected to both fertility and death, hence representing a divine yet fearsome power. This creates one aspect of the duality, the mystical, godlike reverence for nature. Can you understand? Nature is taken as a god. That is how the reverence is given to nature. This part is highlighted in the first part of the poem. We call that the octave part. In the octave part only this is highlighted. Right? River Nile is taken as a god. Right? River Nile is taken as a god. So don't forget our question. We are discussing about the duality of nature. One part of that is River Nile is taken as a god. The other part is River Nile is taken as a life giver. In the first part, we are explaining how the poet has taken River Nile as the god. So all moon mountains, African moon mountains and African are taken as parents. River Nile is taken as the son. And if you take pyramids and crocodiles, crocodiles are very common when it comes to River Nile. Even today, if you refer to River Nile, you can find so many crocodiles of different types, right? So River Nile is known to be the chief of them as well. Right. Okay, so we will write down the next part next week. So today we completed the context questions and we came to an essay type question. The question paper is there in your group. You can go through the question paper and you can find out the questions. And next week we will write down the rest of the question. Right? Make sure to go with the record if you miss something. And we will continue the next part next week. The recording will be available in your group. You can get the recording tomorrow. We will meet next week. Then have a nice day. Good night.